Security Halt podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMS. Head to the episode description and check out Titan SARMS today. Dude, Byron, welcome to Security Halt podcast, brother. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great. It's an honor and pleasure to be here.
Dude, absolutely, man. You're doing great things. And like I said earlier, man, like sharing these stories, like I want to help put good stuff out there, good stories, and let people know that the military can be an amazing chapter and a jumpstart to an even greater fucking career, man. So today, brother, take us through this. How do you go from being a badass ranger to being an entrepreneur, businessman, being on Mr. Beast, all these great things that you're doing?
Well, a lot of it, thank you for the kind words, and I look back and really it's a lot of, and in full transparency, in my military career, a lot of people would go, yeah, he was a stud, or, guys are being nice, and, I was young, I was dumb. I made a lot of really dumb decisions in the military. Got really lucky with my military career, got to do some really epic, cool stuff, right? With some really, what I would classify as genuine badasses. I had some badass leaders. I got to, follow them. I got to deploy with them, got to do, the typical deployment. But my story isn't about, backpacks of hand grenades and and
that means it's real. That means it's authentic. That's the real
right
thing.
Totally, completely. It's not about that. It's actually about a lot of failure, and a lot of perseverance. And I look through my career and I look at, I had a lot of successes, but we don't necessarily see those successes, right? You're like, oh, I got the Ranger Battalion. Well, that in and of itself is a great success. But the bigger success is to stay.
Yeah, dude. 100%, man. Like, yeah.
And then most people don't understand that. It's like, oh, I got there. Well, you got to get your Ranger tab in a timely manner, which, I was blessed and lucky to go straight through, and, going to dive school, and that, and then all these different things. Those are all little successes, but along the way, there's in trouble, you got losing rank, and doing little things, and you get these setbacks. But it's like, okay, I'm not going to let this define my career. I'm going to rise above it, and I got to go to the, Silver Wings and the military free fall team. And that was like such an honor to be able to represent, the entire post of Fort Benning, and got to jump for President Bush and do all these things that were just super epic. It was just so rad, right? And then 2012 rolls around and the movie reel stops.
Yeah.
It's over, right? And I remember it, I went to the Ranger Memorial and actually went to the Mogadishu Mile, which was genuinely my first time back with my best friend from Ranger Regiment, Ryan Normandin, Dino. And it was like intensely emotional. My peer group now is like command sergeant majors, and, it's pretty intimidating. It's like, damn, dude, we were like peers, like now you're the command sergeant major of the entire Ranger Regiment, and we're sitting there and I'm watching first sergeants and sergeant majors retire who were command sergeant majors of the entire Eurocom and the last member of Mogadishu to be active duty to retire, which again is like mind-boggling. Having been able to physically walk in their shadow and have their mentorship really, I think, made me where I am today and gave me that perseverance, because when I left, I lost sight for a long time. And, my first marriage failed. It was a mutual failure. She failed, I failed. Second marriage failed because I allowed the first marriage to affect my second marriage way too much. And her and I are still good friends. But I just kept allowing these things to just beat me down until finally one day, you know, and it was very random. I mean, I just had this individual walks into a living room, and is like, "You're a horrible husband. You're a horrible father. You should go kill yourself."
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, "What?" And I just sat there, and I remember it just hit me. It was like this. I didn't cry. I didn't get emotional. I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Like, I had just lost like a lot of money, like over $1 million, well, over several $1 million. I had, you know, just screwed up a lot of different things in general in my mind, in my life. You know, I was in a custody battle with my daughters with my daughters for my daughters,
Mhm.
and I was in school and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to be, and I kept either quitting one program and moving to the next, or I'd be close to graduation and moving on to the next, whatever it was. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm sick of I went to war all these times, and I'm in this new war that I don't want to be in. I shouldn't come home to have to be in war again, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm at war with myself. I'm at war with everyone around me. That's how I felt. Now I just got in my head and I was like, oh my God, I can't get above this. And then went out to the beach, took every medication that the VA had prescribed me. And I remember staring up at the stars, and my last thought was terror and fear because I regretted. I mean, at that point, the mountain
Yeah.
was sent. Like, I couldn't take it
Yeah.
back. And I was like in this lucid state, going in and out of consciousness, and passed out. And my last thought was, who's going to tell my story to my kids? And what is that story going to be? I just quit. It's going to destroy them. And, you know, the person who hates me, who's in the custody battle with me, you sure as shit know that she's not going to have good words to say about me to my kids. So they're going to grow up thinking whatever. And, you know, have it be God's will. I wake up to this sheriff officer, cop guy. Pretty sure he was a sheriff. And I remember he had an 82nd Airborne KIA bracelet on his wrist. And he's like, dude, you good? And I had like puked in, and I had like the worst sunburn. I looked like a walking hoopty. I had this, like this. So the way the beach ran in Fort Walton, it's like it runs east-west. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's the Gulf
Yeah.
Coast. So
Yeah.
like the sun, I was at night, so the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So I had this half-baked like shit going across my body. It was horrible. You know, I had this bushy beard, puke and pills and everything stuck to my face. He's talking to me. He's like, you know, I should Baker Act you, but if you promise me you'll go to the VA, I don't want you to Baker Act because that'll ruin your life and all that stuff. And I said, okay. So, and I did. I got home. At the time I was still living I was only there for a little while. In Fort Walton, I was
Yeah.
living in Utah. And
Oh.
so I went back to Utah, went to the VA there, got help, started going to counseling, really got myself fixed. And then rotated into my second divorce. So it was like, all right, add insult to injury. We're going to go
You
through
are
this a
in
second
the fucking
time.
fight, my man.
Ended up becoming homeless for quite a while.
Oh.
And I was literally training dogs out of the back of my trunk. I was giving her all the money to make sure she was okay, and had money for my son, and I had child support going to my daughters, and it was just a big crapshoot, you know. And I was like, oh my God. So this went on for like a while. Finally ended up got a good job, and was starting to barely able to make ends meet to where I could sustain myself. At one point in the little condo that I was able to afford, I had a whoopee and a lawn chair. So I was like, I'm good. And then it was so funny because I remember I couldn't afford any food. And I was like, damn, I can't. And the only thing I could afford was a gym membership when I was in my car. Because that's how I took a shower. I had free Wi-Fi. It was 24/7. I could go to the gym, keep my mind right, get a shower, you know, still work out, I had Wi-Fi to do my homework because I was in college, and I was only in college because I was getting paid to be in college to
Yeah.
pay for my child support to keep my ass out of jail. So like, I'm going to be smarts about this. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to learn my ABDs the right way, and so I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm still like trying to find myself. I started in a PA program, ended up into a VA nurse practitioner program where it's
Oh,
like
no
you,
shit.
yeah. So I was getting pretty much done with my PA, and then I was like, I don't want to do this, and I had to chase my then wife, but becoming my ex-wife to
Mhm.
Fort Walton because she wanted to be closer to her family. And so when I got here, it was the nursing program. So I joined the nursing program. And they have a voc rehab program where it's like
Yep.
from nurse practitioner, or I'm sorry, RN, BSN, nurse practitioner is like this whole program thing. It was very similar to the PA, but it was for a nursing program. Yeah, that didn't last long. Like I was like, like it just didn't go
Yep.
down.
Not for me.
So I was
Not for
like,
me.
not for me. Yeah. I'm like working around. I remember I was in like clinicals, and I was like I remember this one girl like just started crying because like I can't remember I don't even know if I was in clinicals. I may have just been because I was working as a tech at the time too, because it was like fall in line with the field.
Yeah.
And some person died. It was just old. They're old. They were there because
Yeah.
they're, the end stages of life, and just the whole world crashed. And I'm like, uh, am I an asshole for not I don't understand why we're completely having a meltdown right now and not able to work,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh shit, I don't know if I can handle all this. Like, this is not for me. Um, so anywho, while I was doing that, I ended up meeting the girl who is now my wife, and I was dating her, and she's like,
Yeah.
you make a lot of money just training dogs on the side, just pet dogs, and my buddy Eric Innes had basically introduced me to it. I was originally working with him as he was building out Coastline Canine, and super grateful for it, and still friends to this day, and just got super obsessed with dogs. Like, I just
Yeah.
genuinely got obsessed. And then I was, going through another hard spot right before I met Elena. Kind of digressing a little bit here. And I was sitting in my room. I was contemplating quitting my program,
Yeah.
and I'm like, here's another thing. And I started getting in my head again. And I had not gotten my apartment yet, had not gotten my condo yet. I was working that job, trying to earn enough money. I was like hoping to get my tax rebate to be able to get that first or second month of
Yeah.
rent so I could get a place. And, you know, I was walked into the VA, and they were like, hey, you're not taking your meds. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, your cup, the only thing that's in this cup is copious amounts of caffeine. And I started laughing, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm taking my meds. I'm completely lying. And I was like, nah, like I am. And they're like, no, you're not. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. Like, either you take your meds or your AMA, like against medical advice, and we're going to cut off your disability, which was
What?
yeah. And I was like, nah, man, like there's got to be another option. Well, my provider was like, well, if you want, you can take a service dog. And I was like, I don't know. I'm in school,
Mhm.
I'm trying to it's another added expense, all this stuff. And then, I call up Eric. I said, Eric, man, I need some help. This is what is like crazy enough. We're starting a nonprofit. You'll be the first recipient of a dog. And I was like, no way. So I ended up getting my service dog, and then in that process just became upset. I mean, he changed my life. Like
Yeah.
Jaeger, he's since passed away just recently, actually. And he, it gets me so emotional. Like literally changed. And my own dad was like, I don't think this is a good idea. And when
Yeah.
he saw the chemical makeup that completely changed in me, and he's like, wow, Byron, you literally are a different person. My dad was like, oh my goodness, like there's something to the service dog stuff.
Yes. This episode is brought to you by Titan SARMS. Head on over to titansarms.com and buy a stack today. Use my code CDenny10 to get your first stack. I recommend the Lean Stack 2. Start living your best life. Titan SARMS. No junk, no bullshit, just results.
I didn't have social anxiety where now, like, I just did a dog turnover recently, and he's like, I focused on my dog that's at my feet, that's there for me, instead of like, who's coming through the door?
Yeah.
Who's behind me? That hypervigilance that we all have as being former operators and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, how's my boy doing down there? Okay, he's good. He's hanging out.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And I just got obsessed with the dog training side of it, from, service dogs, behavior mods. I really got interested in like the behavior modification side of things, started going to educations, started doing online training, started going to different seminars, and it just kind of revolved. Well,
Yeah.
through that process of being a former operator, doing decoy work and working with a lot of bite dogs, then I was also doing executive protection. It just kind of exploded, and it was like one thing after another. And people were like, oh, do you have your D and your G card, your EP cards for Florida? I was like, yeah, sure do. It's like, oh, go do security. And I was doing explosives work, and then I got on Tucker Carlson's detail for a while, and then I got on this, and then I did some stuff with DHS, and then, and I had never been a regimental dog handler, which is like, you'll see people, they're like, oh, he's never been. I'm like, never said I was. It's like,
Stop assuming shit.
Yeah. Like, people assume it all the time. It's like, just because you see me in multicam, and then, ended up was a dog handler. And I was the K9 commander for the Florida State Guard Special Missions Unit for a while, for about a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And I resigned, because of the Mr. Beast stuff. And I got super involved with that. And I'll get in that in a minute, but it just changed my life. And, I remember at this point, I'm now dating my now wife, and she looks at me, she's like, you hate your job at the hospital. You don't like what you're doing. And then at the time, her and I had already started an ammo manufacturing business, and we were manufacturing ammo literally out of our backyard on like 6 Dillon 1050s. And we're producing like millions of rounds. My wife's out there. I remember I came home, she's pregnant with my daughter, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you loading ammo with my daughter? And she's like, it's got to get done. I'm like, golly, you're crazy. It's like, call my buddy, and I'm like, hey, dude, we need to come over here and help me, bro. Like, so and it was like kind of like a little side gig where we actually started making really good money with it. And we basically sold all that off. I went all in on the dogs, and we just exploded. And then within the first year and a half of doing it out of my backyard, so I went from the trunk of my car to my backyard. We bought a 12,500 square foot training facility, making it the largest indoor canine training facility on the Eastern Seaboard.
Wow. Where's that
in
at?
It's in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And it was just good money management. I always tell people, you're only going to be as successful as the person you choose to be with, and the people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
So that's like huge. The fact that my wife is hot is definitely a bonus. But she's got a master's degree in finance, and so she fixed my Ranger dumbass, because I do Ranger math, and I'm like, I don't got any more fingers on my hands, so she's like, you're a really good idea. Yeah. She's like, you've got great management skills, and you've got all these things, but you suck at numbers.
Yeah.
And she laughs at me. She's like, I cannot believe the FAA gave you a pilot's license at one point. Like, I have my private pilot's license. I'm like, yeah, fuel burn's not my favorite. It's probably the most important thing.
Dude,
I look back, you're like, hey guys, we may or may not make it to the next airport. I don't know. My math sucks. And I was homeschooled, by the way.
I tell guys all the time, who you choose to be your spouse, to be your significant other is one of the most important things, man. And I am blessed. I'm the same way. I don't with Security Halt media, the budget, everything, my wife. I I don't do well with math and I suck at budgets. And I married somebody who's way smarter than me. And I'm telling you guys, if you're listening, punch high, punch up out of your fucking your
Way out of your
regulation.
league.
Yeah, punch out of your league, marry somebody that's way out of your league. That's the key to success.
I did that. I was like, I got so lucky. You know, and it's just it's just a lot of fun, you know, and we built, my wife and I basically built this entire empire. I mean, I'm sitting on 40 acres ranch right now, you know, with 4 horses, and we have
Hell
8
yeah.
head of cattle and a bunch of sheep. And then we just basically inherited 400 acres just down the road with my partner. And we've got about 87 head of cattle right down the road, you know, and got like 5 other businesses, you know, that's an exaggerated number, but we have like 3 other businesses currently that are underway and you know, being developed. But it's like, you really have to like focus on the people you surround yourself with. If you're going to hang out with losers, you're going to be a loser. You know, if you're hanging out
Yep.
with negative people, you're going to be sucked into that negative mindset. And I'm a firm believer in manifestation, because if you are manifesting continuous negativity in your life, you're going to attract that negativity. And that in our community, I see that nonstop. Like, we hate each other, we eat our own, we're constantly going after each other. Who's more? I don't care. That's a chapter in my life that's gone. It
Yeah.
doesn't define who I am. It definitely defined my future and how I'm going to operate in there. It gave me the discipline, the perseverance, the management skills, you know, the ability to stress manage. But like, it's weird because so many of us from the soft community get out of the military and it's like, I forgot how to do that. Ugh,
Dude,
I
exactly.
don't know. I don't know. I became a Green Beret, or I became a Ranger, or I became a Navy SEAL, or I did this thing and I completely forgot how to manage. But yet I can go deploy 20 gazillion times, have all of these, you know, accolades, and we can't remember how to like work through that life because, and these are Byronisms and theories that, you know, there's no scientific data, but I believe part of it is we take those things and it identifies who we are. My tan beret doesn't identify, my Ranger scroll and tab doesn't identify Byron. I am
Yes.
not that. I did that. I was able to accomplish that, but it is not who I am. If tomorrow I die in a get ran over by a bunch of cattle, or my parachute skydiving just doesn't open, I want to be remembered as the guy who is trying to make this world just a little bit better, instead of the
Yes.
guy who is some war fighter and commando or whatever the heck you want to call it. And you know, I don't, it's just a lot of little things that you have to, I don't want to be remembered as those things. It's just like, you know, and it really is, it gets cumbersome because people try to identify it. Like when I was a commercial diver, so when I first got out of the military, I um it was about a year after I got out of the military,
Hmm.
I went to commercial dive school, hard hat school, and I
Oh
became an
wow.
underwater welder and sight diver for 3-4 years. And when Obama pushed all that overseas, that's what actually took me to Utah. I went inland and I was working in Utah originally as an inland diver, you know, like Hoover Dam,
Yeah.
Soda Springs Dam, working dams and stuff like that. And then that company ended up going under, and that's ended up why I went and started doing the school stuff. But like, even in that industry, guys will you know, I'm a diver, and that's
Yes.
identifies who they are. It's like, no, it's something that you do. Because the day that, and it's again, we see it again also with mothers.
Yeah.
They consume themselves with their children, and their children identify who they are. And it's like, no, stop making your children your identity, because one day they're
Yeah.
going to leave the nest, and now you're going to have this crazy like depression because you've I forget, there's actually a social psychological term for it,
Yeah.
but like they leave the nest. But it's like every time we identify ourselves with a thing, instead of finding genuinely what's deep down inside of us, and that's what defines us. I'm a man of God. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have a legacy that I'm trying to leave for my children. I want them to, but I also want them to see my mistakes.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and I love it. The haters come in and they're like, "Oh, you said you did this or you did that, or you were kicked out of this or you were doing this," or like, well, first off, that's not true. And they say all that stuff, but thank you for contributing to the algorithm. Um,
You keep
yeah,
bumping my name up.
it's like,
Awesome.
let's go, and it doesn't phase me. It doesn't phase anyone around me. Um, and I don't let it affect me at all. But we have to get away from that. We're never going to get rid of it. Just like we're never going to
Yeah.
get rid of suicide. Like the day I chose to do that, there's nothing anyone could have said, done, or done any different. It was a split moment decision that I went out and did. And the worst part is that I was sober when I made that decision. Like, whereas a lot of my friends that are no longer here, I know for a fact that
Yeah.
they were intoxicated or under the influence of some kind of way. So the moral that I would love for the viewers and listeners of this to hear is that, one, no matter what you're going through, it's 100% a very temporary problem.
Yes.
In you choosing a permanent solution for a temporary problem is asinine. It's like literally getting a flat tire on your car and deciding you're going to firebomb it. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you setting your car? It's like, I got a flat tire. Let's just change it out. We're being excessive here. But the problem is that it's up here because the manifestation, the perseverance, we've convinced ourselves there's no other way.
Yeah.
And there's no other way out. But what happens is that when you make that choice, your family, your friends, and most of all, if you have kids, your children are left to deal with the grief of that. So it's an extremely selfish act. And I can unequivocally tell you that your kids are going to miss you. They're going to cry for you. And you've now increased their possibility of committing suicide by an exponential number. There's actually a number out there.
Yep.
I don't know what it is,
It's a
but like
fact.
their likelihood of committing suicide increases by a unrealistic amount.
Yeah.
And we should really reel it in, be positive. Hey, and if we got someone being stupid, like, let's try to reel them in. Hey, man, you need to fix yourself, dude. You're not doing the right thing here, brother. We don't need to blast them publicly. I mean, maybe we need to do it if they're not making a change or making an azimuth change, but not necessary, really not necessary at all. It just makes the whole community look like crap.
It does.
And we just build each other up, and make it a better place. And we can all, and the biggest thing is like, it's my favorite thing in the world, literally, to see my brothers win. Like,
Yeah.
I just had this experience. There's this guy and he was getting ready to lose his job, and he goes to a lot of the dog seminars that I'm with, but he does dogs on the side. And he walks up to me, follows me, and he's like, "Hey, man, tell me about your business and how you got started." So I gave him this whole spiel, and I gave him some of the podcasts I've been on, and you can hear about it. And he's like, "What was the scariest part?" of starting your business. And I was like, starting it,
Yeah.
like literally like quitting the 9 to 5 and the paycheck that I had coming in, and then realizing that my paycheck is dictated by how hard I work,
Hmm.
instead of just being handed the first and the 15th, or handed the hours that I work from another person that I'm working for. But then what really drove that home was like, okay, I was a commercial diver. I got laid off because they sent all the stuff overseas and went from making $2,500 a day to making $15 an hour overnight. So I had to go over and make more money out in Utah, pick up my whole family literally within a week, and made it out to Utah.
This episode is also brought to you by Precision Wellness Group. Getting your hormones optimized shouldn't be a difficult task, and Dr. Taylor Bosley has changed the game. Head on over to precisionwellnessgroup.com, enroll, and become a patient today.
Then that business went under and they couldn't pay their employees anymore. So now I'm going frantic. I got to find it. It's like, it's a little bit more stable to work for myself because I know I'm not going to quit and I can create my own income. And I did. And but that was the fear of, well, what if?
Yeah.
And then that's where the mind of perseverance, the manifestation, I got this. I've already done it. I got the clients. We got 6 clients. Too easy. Got it. Done. Boom, boom. And I literally, it was like every single time I got on the phone, it's like, this is in that, it's almost, and I equated, business is sometimes a lot like being in Ranger school. And you're being graded on patrols. And I remember this one specific time in Ranger school, and I know, and I still remember the guy. Ended up serving with him later, years down the road, and he was my RI though. And I remember Sergeant First Class Partilos, and he walks up to me, and then he had another walker named Boomagot. And I just remembered them. I don't know why I remember their names. It's the only 2 RIs I remember, but it was funny. I had effed up this patrol. Like, this patrol was so jacked up, and they come up and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing this. And they're like, oh, why are you doing that? Oh, because of this, 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 and this. I was like, oh, okay, roger that. Now you think that's a good idea? And I was like, roger that. Carry on, Ranger. Ended up just getting annihilated. Just the whole thing was a freaking, it was like complete
Epic
shit.
abortion.
Epic abortion. And they walked in, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, got my head. I'm getting ready to get graded. And he's like, well, how do you think you did? I was like, fucking horrible. It's like, do you think you got to go? I was like, hell no. And he hands me my card, and I had gotten a go. And I'm like, I'm confused. Why am I getting a go here? He's like, bro, sometimes in the absence of leadership, you have to go with a decision. Though your decision wasn't the right decision, and you learned that decision was the right decision, that was a learning point. But you made a decision, you moved, and there wasn't a lot that you could have done. You probably would have gotten effed up regardless. But you're getting a go because you made a decision and you moved out with a sense of urgency, and you executed that plan exactly the way you said you were going to do it. It was flawless, but you flawlessly failed. And I was like, holy shit. And it was one of those things. It's like, okay, it's better than just sitting here and dying.
Yeah.
So business is a lot like that. You just like, okay, here's the plan. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay, cool. Let me shift fire a little bit. Let me tweak some things a little bit here and there. And next thing you know, I'm selling dogs and selling dog training, and, like nobody's business. And I'm just like, oh my God, here, we're just cranking them out here, and chaining the pen. And it's same with training dogs. It's like, oh, this one's not working right. This plan isn't working with this dog. Oh, I got to shift this, change this. And, it's that perseverance. And that's where the military mindset really comes into play. It's not who you are. I don't go into a client and go, hi, my name's Byron. I was former 375 Army Ranger and did all these wonderful things. You should totally do my dog training because I was once a, whatever you want to think of me. It's like, no, man. I go and I have a plan that I just utilize the training that I received and my ability to problem solve, to build that out. And then the hardest part for me, I think, in the entrepreneurialism of the whole thing was learning social media.
Yeah.
Like, you're no longer a quiet professional. You got to market yourself.
Yeah. You got to put yourself out there. And then people are going to come out of the woodwork and be like, yeah, fuck you. Fuck you for having a business plan and putting yourself out there.
He was a shitbag in Ranger Richmond. Yeah, totally right. Accurate statement. Accurate. And I was like, and this is like, you know, it was like, he was kicked out. Like, nah, not accurate. Not accurate. No. But the other one was definitely a dirtbag. I was definitely a dirtbag. I was like, there's plenty of girls in Auburn that thought I was an Australian. So, you know.
It's ridiculous, man. Like, two things can be true at once. You can grow and adapt as a human being, and you could have made mistakes at some point in your youth. Like, why do we fixate on every single fucking issue people had? And when they go, because I get it too, and it's like, who the fuck are you for doing something? I'm like, well, motherfucker, come here. You do it. If you think it's easy enough to get on a platform and advocate for people to take care of themselves and not commit suicide and highlighting positive stories, you come fucking do it. Oh, you don't want to do it? Right. Cool. Then stop shitting on somebody that wants to try to do it. Since when has it not been okay to try to put something good out into the world? And if people want to do it,
it's like, hey, you know, like, he cheated on his wife. Yup, sure did. You know, that was something that I did, and it is what it is. And it's like, you know, I you know, we all make mistakes, but if you can't take total ownership of those types of things, if you can't go through life and like and the big thing is like, you know, there are people recently who have been like exposed or something has happened to them, but the problem wasn't that they didn't take ownership, and they had plenty of opportunity to go forward and say, hey, I did this, or I messed up, and take that total ownership. And, you know, it is what it is. And if you can take that ownership and say, hey, I messed up, it's just like in the shoot house. Like, you know, when we were in the shoot house and it's like, hey, thick skin, everybody, AAR time. Hey, dude, you didn't take your corner. Hey, dude, you stuck your corner too long. Hey, dude, you didn't freaking even make entry in the room and have your gun up. Right.
Yeah.
You know, you know, you can't get mad about it. And then now with cameras and everything else, you really have to take ownership, because like, bitch, I got it on camera. You know,
the catwalk sees everything.
The catwalk sees everything. So, you know, it's like, stop going high port. I'm just, you know, fuck that platoon sergeant up there, like looking down on me. It's like, you're in a live shoot house. You know?
Man.
You know, and then as soon as I figured that, and it was really wild because, and I love it because my wife, and everybody, we had blown up a tractor, and this is like right before the whole Mr. Beast thing, and we were all talking about manifestation.
Yeah.
And, you know, I call her my sister, but she's like my wife and I's best friend. She's one of our head trainers at our facility, and she's like, we already have the tractor. You got to remember manifestation. We're going to have it. It's already, we already ordered it. It's on its way. And then I'm like, all right, let me test this out. So I'm literally doing this like cool guy photo shoot stuff with the dudes, and dude calls me. He's like, hey, yeah, you know, this is Mr. Beast. Okay. Who's this? I don't know who you are. And he's like, love you be on the show. And I'm like, you know who I am? And you're like, no. And it's like, you know, I'm going to get you kicked over to our casting. And I'm like, okay. She's talking to this awesome girl, and she's like, are you scared of explosions? And literally they're breaching in the background, like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, no. He's scared of tight spaces. Like, how's a commercial underwater welder? No. And she's like, damn, this dude's gonna like, and I have no idea what any of this is. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so you have no idea who Mr. Beast is, Jimmy? I was like, nah, not clues. I call your kids. And so I hang up the phone, call my wife, who's in the car with all of them, and they all start screaming. And I'm like, literally, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, did you guys just get in a wreck? Like, what's going on? And they're like, no, that's Mr. Beast. Like, you don't know who he is? I'm like, no, he's the biggest YouTuber on the planet. Like, he's a billionaire. And you do these competitions and you win money. Like, how much? And like, my son's like, millions, Dad, millions. And so I'm like, call back. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And so it's a Friday. They want me, and I'm in Tennessee. So I literally drive home from Tennessee on Friday, get on a plane Saturday to get there. And I don't know anything that's going on.
Yeah.
Show up, get to the hotel. I see a bunch of stuff going on. I'm trying to deduct this thing. Everything is like OPSEC savvy. Like, they aren't trying to let me know anything. So now I'm like seer mode. They got me hooded up. I can't see anything.
Shit.
So I'm like looking out the bottom of the hood, trying to figure, like, I smell salt water. Homeboy's got salt all over him. Oh, there's a wetsuit. Oh, apparently I'm going offshore somewhere. Sure enough, I'm going in the water. Hell yeah. I got this. I'm a combat diver. We're good. And sure enough, it was like, they gave it to me. And if you watch like Mr. Beast 2, you'll see it when they unveil what was like, okay, so you probably deducted like kind of what you're doing, but let us tell you the title. We can't tell you what you're doing, but we're going to tell you the title. And there said, Surviving the World's Deadliest Traps. And I'm like, literally I'm like, fuck yeah. They're like, this dude's crazy. And then it was
easy
just off
fucking money.
yeah. And then of course everyone saw the episode, and it's just like, and it was so much fun. And then I'm like sitting there and I'm like telling my wife, I'm like, Becky said this manifestation thing. This happened literally the next day. And it like fixed and solved all the problems. My wife made all of her goals. The manifestation that Becky had made, we were able to manifest that through the winnings. Everything that we wanted for the year 2025 had been accomplished in 1 month. And I was like, man, and that's all about energy. That's all about like how, I mean, just the universe in general, whether you're a Christian, whether you are not, it's all based off energy.
Yeah.
And if you're negative, the universe isn't going to allow things to happen to you because you're putting off bad energy. It's just, you're going to repel those types of things away. And one of the things that I do is I don't squander opportunity. And I also create it. As you probably just realized, my wife was out at the bar that we call the bar, but it's like down the road. We ride our horses there, and all of our friends go there. They got food trucks and the kids play and stuff like that. And someone was like, she's like, where's your husband? And he's like, oh, he's in Egypt skydiving over the pyramids. They're like, what? And they're like, how does he get these opportunities? And she was like, and Elena said, it was just this realization. It's like, I get a thing in my head and I manifest it. I make the opportunity happen. And, Method Endeavors is a partner of mine in a bunch of different endeavors, pun intended. And Devin and I just got this idea. We got this pretty epic thing coming up that we're going to be announcing on social media pretty soon. Yeah, it's world breaking stuff.
Oh, hell
record breaking stuff. So basically the trip was a PDSS for that.
Oh, nice.
And got out there, and Devin like, we're jumping over the pyramids while we're here. And we made it happen. And I was like, oh my God, here we are, you know? And I'm just like, it was so hard because like, we got this video. We'll probably post the video here soon. We've been posting here bits and pieces here and there, but like, we have a comm system in our helmet, and I'm just like, holy shit. Not only was I like crawling around in this like private tour in the tombs and stuff with these dudes and camelback and literally camelback the whole thing tour, I'm now free falling over one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. And, you know, to think if I had succeeded in my suicide attempt, none of this would have happened. And even after that, I was homeless.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you don't know your story. You don't know your stars. You don't know what's going to happen. And you are in full control of changing that. And I say all this not to sound like a cat licking itself, you know, sit over here with my leg cranked up over here, just, you know, talking about all this stuff. I'm saying all of it because it's like, I hope somebody out there, because I'm a retard. I am a complete idiot. You know, and if I can make it happen, see, I even have a clock to remind me to drink water. That's literally what that is. So, you know, if I can change mine and I can go through a divorce that cost me over $500,000, if I in a custody battle, if I can have complete jacked up credit, short sales on homes, false allegations filed against me, haters hating on me, making stuff up. If I can become who I am, bro, just imagine what you guys can do out there. Like, I'm nothing special at all. Like, completely. Like people don't understand, like, oh my God. You know, I always laugh at people who make a big deal about Ranger School. And I'm like, it's not a ninja school. It's a leadership school.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. It's just teaching you leadership, and it's teaching you how, which now it's worse. I think it would be worse now, because now you got not only cold, wet, hungry, and tired men, you also have women out there too. So I'm not sitting here saying I think the standards have gone up, because now you got to deal with, like, think about that, guys. This is a whole new concept. You've now taken food, comfortability away from women, and now you've got to get them in there doing that. They got you're in Ranger School for 3 months. Well, 2 months. Depends on if you recycle or not. But you know what I'm saying. They got periods and stuff, bro. So they're getting at least a minimum of 2 of those things during Ranger School. Bro, heaven, hell, I didn't go through Ranger School with that. But like, bro, you got to deal with that. Can you imagine? Like, that's some rough stuff. And don't get me wrong. It's like, I actually don't have a problem with women being in Ranger School, because again, it's a leadership school.
Yep.
It's a leadership school. It's not a school it's something that can be applied to every single leadership position in anywhere in the United States military.
Yeah.
Has no bearing on, really, in my opinion, your MO. I mean, yes, it is combat driven, but it's leadership driven.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and we're all soldiers. We're all combat arms to some extent, to some extent. I know, I'm like sitting here as I'm saying this, I'm like, holy shit, the comment section is really going to get hot here.
Oh, fuck.
An X-ray tech is not combat arms. This guy's a fucking idiot. Well, you're right on all parts.
What about me? I'm a laundry supply specialist. God damn it. Jimmy,
damn it.
You don't count. Fuck. All right.
Shit. I got to really think about what I say on air more often.
Dude, it's true though.
Purple drink.
It's important to remember, man, like, you got to keep pushing forward. And dude, luck is always a factor, yes, but there's something to be said for the individuals that don't stop moving at any point. At any point in your journey, you could have stopped. You could have
Yeah.
taken the safe road. You could have taken you could have stayed where you were at with the VRNE program and just gotten that same paycheck and eventually
Yeah.
graduated and gone into that field and just been safe. But you didn't stop moving. You kept dreaming. You kept thinking. You kept realizing that there's something more. There's something
There
more.
is.
That
Still now.
energy, yeah. It's something that's within all of us. We just have to be willing. And here's the thing, you have to be brave enough to listen
Right.
to that voice that says, pivot, go towards that thing you love more than just
Right.
surviving, man.
And
Like,
pivoting is not quitting.
yeah.
So like people understand, and I say that word, I said like I quit. I like that word way better because realizing you're not where you're at, reaching your fullest potential, and pivoting is just a facing movement.
Yeah.
It's just a facing movement. Just like, drill and sermon, it's just a facing movement. You're changing directions, you're changing azimuths a little bit to go reach for that full potential. I never in my wildest freaking imagination thought I'd be a dog trainer.
Yeah.
Or a reputable one at that. I didn't think that at all. It was built out of necessity. No, I wasn't a military canine handler. I never went to the military canine handler course. At the time when I was in, they were actually, regiment didn't even have the kennels yet. They were developing the kennels, and I think they were going to Von Lick at the time. Eric Gilgenast was. He was, I think, in the first phase of that, and one of my peers and really good friends was in that program, like one of the first guys that went through. And then, but yeah, like, and it kills me because I just lost my platoon sergeant, and I was really close with him, and it broke me. Losing him literally, like, it messed me up real good for a couple weeks. And Dave, so, but like Dave, like, selfless man, and the man he had become at the end was not the man that he was. And he had allowed the demons to overtake his mind. He allowed the things and the past to define who he was today. And you got to let go and move on, because there's so much amazing stuff out there to see and do and to be a part of. And you can find a new tribe, that's the biggest thing. It's like, I have, my best friend and ranch partner who lives, 150 yards that way, is a Green Beret, wasn't in Ranger Regiment. I talk shit to him every morning. I was like, he refuses to go to Ranger school. And I'm like, bitch, that long tab be a lot cooler if I had a Ranger tab underneath it. Talk shit. Like, but I have my tribe now, and
Yeah.
he'll be trying to rope cows and he'll miss one. I said, man, you probably wouldn't have missed that if you went to Ranger school. And fuck off. Love them to death, dude. And like, you create this new environment, this new tribe, and at the Rescue 22 Foundation, my new tribe, they became my tribe. I started producing service dogs and seeing the impact that had on their lives, like it did mine, and just changes their world. Just I think it was like the day my days were. I just got back from Egypt, so I don't even know what day it was. Like the day before yesterday, I think it was. Yeah. One of the veterans calls me. He's like, dude, he was just so excited. He's like, dude, his back's jacked up, like he can barely bend over, and he's in the middle of a house project. And he was upstairs in his little gun room, and he's trying to screw a cap on. The cap fell off, went down the stairs,
shit.
all the way to the bottom. And he's like, fuck, I don't want to go down there. I'm hurting. And his dog saw it happen, which is what we trained it for, ran down the stairs, picked up the cat, brought it back to him. And he's like,
Damn.
yes, yes. And he's just like calling me, screaming. He's like, dude, you're not going to. And I was like, I can believe it because that's what he was trained to do. Yeah. But I'm excited. And, you know, for me, it's like, it's just such a warming feeling to be able to help somebody, be
Yeah.
able to physically be out there, help somebody be able to live a better life. Quality of life is increased. And it's like been one of my greatest honors to serve as the vice president with, you know, these men and women on the board to get service dogs into veterans' hands. And,
Yeah.
you know, 98 cents of every dollar that we earn goes to the veteran. Right now we're in a
Oh, shit.
desperate, we're in a desperate fundraising phase right now to get our more funding to get dogs, because we have like a 2-year waiting list right now to get dogs, because our dogs aren't just being pulled out of shelters and given to them. They're actually being trained to that service members their service connected disability. So if they got back issues, we're going to do mobility. If we have issues with, you know, PTSD, we'll train it for interruptions. If it's the seizure, we'll train it to alert and also to prep, you know, the person, like hold them or keep their head from like convulsing. It's just like a laundry list of stuff that we can do, but it's very and takes anywhere from 90 days to a year and a half to train some of these dogs to get to them to the veterans. Oh yeah. And it's amazing. As a matter of fact, today, our president, John Devine, just finished doing some refresher training with one of our veterans in Texas and is on his way back to California to continue doing God's work, you know?
Hell yeah.
So, you know, like I said, there's plenty of ways to get yourself plugged back in out there and help the community be a better place. You know, there's a lot of great nonprofits out there that, you know, need help. And, you know, I had a person years ago tell me that, oh, you raised your right hand and, you know, that's an expected thing. You know, you self-imposed that PTSD and those things are just something that comes with it. It's like, yeah, but like nobody prepares you to see the things that we've seen.
Yep.
Nobody prepares you. All the training in the world, you can be a Delta operator, you can be a Navy SEAL, Green Beret, or Army Ranger. Nobody like prepares you to see anything, like whether it's taking a life or whether it's seeing your buddy get blown up in an IED and burn to death in a car, in a truck. You know, nothing prepares you for that. You know it's going to happen, but not in the moment when the whole ordeal is going down, or your friends, the medics trying to work on your buddy and he's, you know, like those things. You're trying to do a job, be focused while you're listening to your roommate scream as the medic desperately tries to save their life. You know, like that's haunting. Or a child you know, a child gets caught in a crossfire or something happens. Innocence, you know, which is probably a majority of my PTSD is the innocence. But nothing prepares you for it. So the only thing and that's part of the austere environment and training that we go through, is to learn perseverance.
Yep.
You know, don't let that thing deny you. And it doesn't just apply to us. You know, you have women who are sexually assaulted. You have people who are raped. You have all out childhood trauma and abuse. It's your choice whether you want those things to define who you are, or are you going to rise above them, or are you just going to let them eat you alive and destroy you?
Absolutely. Like at the end of the day, everybody has a choice, and you gotta be willing to fight back. Get every resource you have. Be able to tap in
Right.
to. I mean, now more than ever, there's so many nonprofits. If you can't go to the VA, if your local VA isn't good enough, man, reach out, ask for help, talk to people,
And it
fight
doesn't
through
make
it.
you less of a person. Like,
Yeah,
that's the other thing is like a lot of our guys and our brothers, especially in our community, they're like, "Ugh, can't ask for help, suffer in silence," that whole
yeah,
mentality. And it's like, that's the most retarded thing I've ever. I am not where I am in business now as an entrepreneur because I did it on my own.
yeah,
I did not do this on my own. I had my wife, who's probably been the biggest advocate, and I have business mentors. And I literally had several really big breaks with friends who came in as angel investors who are no longer investors with me, but still best friends because I was able to pay them back tenfold and they believed in me
yeah,
and they gave me mentorship and they taught me. And I was a sponge for the information. And I was like, I was teachable
yeah.
and always learning.
Yeah, that's the one thing
What's
we have to remember. Be the beginner's mind. When you get out into this world, when you finally walk away from the military, go back to that beginner's mindset, man. Be willing to ask for help. Be the guy or gal that's humble enough to say, "Hey, I want to get to where you're at. How do I get there?" And just you have to be willing to talk,
and
engage.
it doesn't matter what you've done in life. Like
Yeah,
I left the military and I was lower enlisted, young NCO, and I had a sergeant major, command sergeant major at that, call me asking for advice. I got super nervous. I didn't know whether I should be like go to parade rest or get in the front and lean and rest while giving him that advice. But I was like, holy moly, and I've had like people who were colonels that called me and like, hey, I got a
yeah,
question for you about this or that, and being in the position I'm in now with dog training, get calls from post commanders in our area that are like, hey, I got a dog question for you. It's you're now whatever field you choose to be in. It's just like you be an
yeah,
expert in it, be the best.
yeah,
Don't be average.
dude. Exactly.
Mediocrity is going to eat you alive.
Don't settle for just being average in the field you're going into. Like stand, especially when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, launching a business. Find every edge. Find every way you can get better. Like, and
Yeah.
just remember, man. Like, dude, be positive. That's like one of the biggest takeaways. Like, don't be that miserable asshole in the comments. If I learned anything, the people that are constantly negative are dealing with the worst fucking issues. Hurt people hurt people.
Oh yeah.
Don't be one of them, man. Dang.
I'll be the
Yeah.
most positive dude in the world. My whole world is crumbling around me. And I tell people, I tell this to my son all the time. It's like, when I lost my job, uh, initially out of the military, right before I went to, and I lost my initial job because of my divorce and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I had to make money somehow.
Yeah.
And I was sweeping floors and I was literally a custodian and cleaning construction sites. And I was like, I'm going to have a good attitude. I'm going to be the best goddamn floor sweeper. And this is going to be the cleanest job site these guys have ever seen. And it was the most embarrassing thing I ever had to do, cleaning shitters, everything. But I was like, fuck this. I am going to be the best at it. And then the dude walks around. He's like, hey, man, you don't seem, doesn't seem like a normal job for you. Like, what's your story? And I told him that I just got out of the military, lost my job in
Yeah.
in a transition period. And he's like, next thing I know, I'm foreman and stuff, and he's signing off for me to become a general contractor, and I'm having to like study a book I don't know two shits about because he's trying to like get me. I'm like, dude, I haven't been doing this for like, I'll forge it. I'm like, oh, well, you're not. I have no desire to stay in this world. I'm just here,
Yeah.
and so and it's one of those things where I remember I was like, dude, I'm just going to keep a good attitude. But because of that, more opportunity came. I was already
Exactly.
on the path to go to the commercial dive world, and I did the same thing. you know, and I was a diver, and I remember working my butt off, and I was always, you know, on time. I was always making sure that all the equipment, because being in the dive world is the same as being in the Ranger Regiment.
Yeah.
You got to earn your way to become a diver. You're a tender first, and then you become a diver. Even though you all went to the same school, but you got to earn your way through. And
Yeah.
when you do those job sites, and I was like, hey man, when I get that dive, that first dive, I'm going to make sure that I complete my mission at the bottom, and I'm going to have everything dressed, and I'm going to tell them, hey, yeah, your crescent wrench is on the left-hand side, because half the time you're working in complete darkness.
Yeah.
So you can't be working, and you've got a bottom time in your race against time. So you've got to know where everything is. So the moment your feet hit ground, you know where everything was, and you're grabbing it and you're just going.
Yeah.
You know, and be the best. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if you hate the job, be the best. And have a good attitude at the same time.
Dude,
You know,
absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
That's the more often than not, that will get you into, at least get your foot in the door in so many different ways. And it opens up so many fucking opportunities. Just be positive, good fucking, just like in a fucking military. Be at the right place, right uniform, right time. Just fucking have a good, positive mental attitude, man.
Dude,
that's
I lost $100 and something thousand on Mr. Beast. And I'm like, as I'm going, you can literally watch if you watch this and then go watch the episode. I'm on this apparatus. We're like 100 something feet off the ground. All my money's hanging off, and I'm like dangling. Shit. You know, try to get my money out, throw it onto the target. You know, and I remember I was like the first bag that hits the target and then bounces off, and I'm like, oh fuck. There goes a 50K.
Yeah.
You know, and then the next one. And then there was like, I don't forget, it was a lot of money. It was like over 100K. I can't remember exactly the exact number. And I got to the end, and I'm like, at the end of the thing, I had accomplished it. I had lost a bunch of money, and I like shimmied my ass back out there. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm going to fuck her. And I actually thought about it. You'll see me. I'm holding my head, and I'm getting in my head. I'm like getting in my head, like, how do I get this money back? Like, how am I going to do this? I was like, well, I've seen his video. This is like the full thought process that's happened like simultaneously. Like, well, Jimmy's he's giving people opportunities to win their money back. But that's if he gives me that opportunity. I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm gonna fucking create my own opportunity here. So I like starting to go. I'm on this platform. I'm like, I'll jump off this platform if you give me my money back. And Jimmy's like, wait, what? And then if you watch number 2, the control room, they actually have a frame where there's a huge Connex on all these sites where there are all the different cameras and stuff. And the guy goes, wait, what did he just say? Did he say he's going to jump off this platform? And I was like, and I'm thinking in my brain, like the harness they have me in, I'm like, oh, it's one of those self-arrest harnesses. Like you climb the rock climbing wall and you jump off and it like slowly lowers you. Hell no. Friggin' the stunt coordinator, who's a good friend of mine, failed to mention that this was a self-arresting, meaning it's going to the bottom of the rope and it's just going to stop. So you're free falling, like right above it. And so, like a cherry jumper, I didn't fix my junk at all. And I'm like, I'll jump off. He's like, you know, and we going back and forth. I was like, 75. And he's like, all right, 75, just because I want to see you do it. And I jump. Well, I had to go back into post-production because I had to scream like 18 million times because I jacked that. That was such a great scene.
Yeah.
The best scene. Greatest scene ever. But I jacked it up because I screamed fuck from the top all the way down because I did not adjust my junk, pinched my nutsack, and then had to run the rest of the competition with a freaking cantaloupe for not a cantaloupe, probably like an orange or an apple on my right testicle because I had pinched it in the harness. And I'm like laying there and he's like, you're a psycho. And I've been like, I've been told that once or twice. And I'm like, literally the next thing I said, like, can someone please hurry up and get me down? Cause like I split the boys. So, but yeah, dude. It was definitely a fun experience, but it was like that positive attitude and like creating my own opportunity and having fun. It's just good energy, man. It just creates things for you, you know?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Man, I couldn't think of a better way to wrap this up, dude.
Absolutely.
Now the audience can visualize your nutsack being squeezed. Byron, if people want to get a hold of you or learn more about what you got going on, where can they reach you?
Oh, say that one more time. Sorry about that.
Yep. No, if people want to get a hold of you and find out more about what you got going on, where can they reach you?
Well, you can reach me on my Instagram, which is Byron_BTS_K9. And if you guys are interested in our nonprofit, the Rescue 22 Foundation, it's the rescue22foundation.org online. And we also have an Instagram as well. And you can find all my links on my Instagram as well for the Rescue 22 Foundation and BTS-K9.
Hell yeah. I'll make it easier for you guys. Just go ahead and episode's over. It's almost over. Just click the episode description. Look at those links. Click on them right now, or just, save them for later. Byron, dude, thank you so much for coming on here and
Absolutely.
for, sharing your journey with us, because more often than not, what we see on social media is this beautiful curated path of success all the way through life. But your story is one that reminds us that, dude, at the end of the day, keep fucking going. Keep fucking going.
Yeah.
Take a knee if you have to, but man, don't give up. Don't quit on yourself.
Security halt. Take a security halt.
Exactly. You fucking get it.
Right.
You
take a security halt. Conduct some sills.
Yes.
Don't mind my smelly feet,
And then when you're ready, keep pushing on to the unknown.
That's right.
Again, brother, thank you so much for being here. And to everybody at home, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see y'all next time. Till then, take care. Security Halt Podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMS. Head to the episode description and check out Titan SARMS today.